Ladies and gentlemen, there will come a time when life will push you so hard that you will feel broken beyond repair. You will stand at the crossroads of defeat, tired, bruised, and shattered. The weight of your burdens will press against your spirit, and the temptation to quit will whisper seductively in your ear. But I stand before you to remind you that the man or woman who achieves greatness is not the one who never feels broken, but the one who never quits even when they are. There is no glory in walking away from your mission simply because it became difficult. The road to success was never paved with ease. It was built by those who dragged themselves through storms, through nights of tears, through endless failures, and still moved forward. Temporary defeat is not failure. It is a lesson in disguise. It is life's method of testing your determination. You are not finished simply because you have fallen. You are not defeated because you are in pieces. You remain undefeated as long as you do not surrender. Your definite purpose, your burning desire, must be the light that carries you through the darkness. You must be so consumed with your mission that even when your body is broken, your spirit presses on. The mind has power far greater than the pain of the moment. If you command it to go forward, it will find the strength to do so, but you must decide, you must will it. Every person who ever reached the heights of success was broken along the way. They faced rejection, betrayal, and unimaginable hardship, but they did not allow the brokenness to stop them. They rebuilt themselves in the fire of persistence. They refused to surrender their dreams to temporary suffering. It is in the broken places that your true power is formed. The man who fights while bleeding, the woman who pushes while trembling. These are the people who earn victory. Faith, ladies and gentlemen, is not tested when the path is smooth. Faith is tested when nothing seems left, when your hands are empty, when your soul is tired, and you still rise. Your strength is not measured by how well you perform when things are easy. Your strength is revealed by how fiercely you advance when you are broken. Never quit, even then. Never quit, especially then, because it is in those very moments that life prepares to reward you. It is in those very moments that you are building a strength that cannot be taken from you. Let no one convince you to stop. Let no circumstance rob you of your purpose. Never quit, even when broken. Persistence outlasts pain. This is a principle that has shaped the journey of every man and woman who has ever achieved something of lasting value. Pain is temporary. Pain screams, it burns, it exhausts, but it fades. Persistence, however, is eternal. It is the quiet, unshakable force that remains when the body is weak, when the spirit is tired, when the mind is clouded with doubt. Persistence stands where pain falls. It is the bridge that carries you from the point of suffering to the point of success. When you are broken, when life has pushed you to your knees, when every muscle aches and every thought pleads for relief, the temptation to quit becomes overwhelming. It is in these precise moments that most people give up. They convince themselves that the pain is too much, that the journey is not worth it, that they are simply not strong enough to continue. They believe that pain is permanent, that their suffering will last forever, and so they surrender. But those who understand the true nature of persistence know that pain is a liar. Pain speaks loudly but without truth. It tells you that you cannot go on, but you can. It tells you that you are finished, but you are not. It tells you that you are weak, but within you exists a power far greater than the agony you feel. The man who persists, even when broken, develops a strength that pain cannot touch. He trains his mind to override the protests of his body. He instructs his heart to continue beating for his mission, not for his comfort. He understands that comfort is not the goal, growth is the goal, and growth demands sacrifice. It demands endurance. It demands that you walk through fire and refuse to burn. Every step you take while in pain is a declaration of victory over that pain. Every movement forward is a refusal to submit. Persistence is not glamorous. It is not accompanied by applause. It is not decorated with rewards in the moment. Persistence is lonely. It often feels like walking alone through darkness, guided only by the flicker of belief that somewhere ahead the light will return. The persistent soul does not chase quick relief. He does not beg for the struggle to end. He does not cry out for the weight to be lifted. Instead, he carries the weight. He adjusts his posture, tightens his grip, and continues, because he knows that the burden itself is shaping him. The weight you carry today will become the strength you own tomorrow. You do not grow by setting the weight down. You grow by carrying it step after painful step. The greatest mistake people make is believing that persistence is a trait reserved for the gifted. They think persistence belongs to the strong, the disciplined, the fortunate, but persistence is not a gift. It is a decision. It is a choice that must be made repeatedly, especially when it would be easier to choose surrender. Persistence is built, moment by moment, through deliberate refusal to give up. Each time you tell yourself, "I will continue," you strengthen that decision. Each time you push one step further, you build the habit of resilience. And the habit of resilience, over time, becomes the character of an unstoppable person. Pain will argue with you. It will convince you to sit down, to slow down, to walk away. It will remind you of every failure, every weakness, every time you have fallen short. It will play the movie of your past mistakes on repeat in your mind, but persistence speaks a different language. Persistence does not look backward. It does not entertain the past. It does not measure the distance you have left to travel. It focuses solely on the next step, just the next step. The person who persists understands that they may not have the strength to finish today, but they have the strength to continue today, and by continuing they will reach the finish. Pain can only defeat those who stop. Pain cannot destroy the person who keeps moving. Pain may slow you down, it may break your body, it may bring you to tears, but if you decide to persist, you will outlast it. You will walk beyond the reach of the pain that once seemed so powerful. You will look back and realize that the pain was not permanent, but the growth you earned from enduring it remains forever. There is no great achievement that was born without pain. There is no mountain that was climbed without trembling legs. There is no victory that was won without moments of exhaustion, doubt, and despair. The difference between those who reach the summit and those who give up at the base is not talent, nor is it luck. It is persistence. The climber who reaches the peak is often the one who simply refused to turn around. Pain will test your sincerity. It will ask you how badly you want what you claim to desire. It will demand proof of your commitment. Anyone can wish for success when the skies are clear. Anyone can claim ambition when the journey is easy, but pain separates the dreamers from the doers. It separates those who merely hope from those who are willing to bleed for what they believe in. You must embrace the reality that pain is part of the process. You must welcome it as a necessary companion on the road to greatness. Do not curse the pain. Do not despise the struggle. Do not wish it away. Recognize that it is there to forge you, to harden your resolve, to strip away weakness and leave behind only strength. Persistence is the daily agreement to keep going, even when it makes no sense to do so. It is the quiet voice that says, "Try again." After you have failed, it is the decision to rise when you have fallen for the 100th time. It is the willingness to put one foot in front of the other when your body screams for rest. And it is this decision, made over and over again, that will carry you to places pain cannot follow. Those who persist are not without fear. They are not without suffering. They are not without moments of hopelessness. But they continue anyway. They endure. They refuse to stop, because deep within them there is a burning knowing that the pain they face today will not last, but the person they are becoming through that pain will last forever. Temporary defeat is not failure. Life will often deliver moments that feel like absolute endings. You will face situations that will break your plans, shatter your expectations, and leave you standing amidst the rubble of what you once believed would succeed. In those moments, it is easy to mistake temporary defeat for permanent failure. It is easy to believe that the door is closed forever, that you are not capable, that you have been rejected by life itself. But nothing could be further from the truth. Temporary defeat is life's way of asking you how much you really want what you claim to pursue. It is not the end, it is an examination. Temporary defeat is a tool life uses to separate the weak from the determined. It is a question disguised as an obstacle. When you are knocked down, life is not telling you to stay there. Life is waiting to see whether you have the courage to rise. Every man and woman who ever achieved greatness first passed through the corridors of temporary defeat. They knew what it felt like to lose, to fail, to be broken by circumstances, yet they refused to accept defeat as final. They understood that temporary defeat is simply part of the process that precedes success. You must see temporary defeat not as a wall, but as a gate that tests your determination before it allows you to pass. Most people, when confronted with defeat, retreat. They abandon their purpose at the first sign of resistance. They convince themselves that they were never meant to succeed, that they lack what is necessary, that fate is against them. They see the first closed door and they walk away. They call it failure. But the person who understands the law of persistence knows that the first defeat is not a sign to quit. It is a sign to press on with greater determination. Temporary defeat is necessary because it teaches you what easy victories never could. It teaches patience. It teaches humility. It teaches you to build strength you never thought you needed. Without temporary defeat, you would not develop the endurance required to hold your success when it arrives. Quick success builds nothing within you, but the struggle through temporary defeat constructs character, resilience, and discipline. These are the pillars that hold up lasting success. You must learn to speak to yourself in moments of defeat. You must learn to silence the voice that tells you it is over. You must remember that the greatest victories in history were born from the ashes of defeat. The man who builds an empire often began with empty hands and a long record of failures. The woman who achieved her dream was not the one who never faced defeat, but the one who faced it and refused to accept it as her story's final chapter. They recognize that defeat is not failure unless you accept it. When you face temporary defeat, you are being invited to examine your purpose. How badly do you want what you claim to desire? How deeply is your belief rooted? It is easy to pursue a dream when all things are in your favor. But when life strikes you down, when your resources are depleted, when you are laughed at, ignored, and dismissed, will you still pursue it then? Temporary defeat separates those who only like the idea of success from those who are absolutely committed to achieving it. Temporary defeat often contains hidden lessons. It is not punishment. It is instruction. It is in defeat that you find out what does not work. It is in defeat that you refine your approach. It is in defeat that you uncover new strategies, new strengths, new allies, and sometimes new paths altogether. But these gifts are only available to the person who continues forward. They are hidden from the one who turns back too soon. The history of the world is filled with stories of those who succeeded just after experiencing their greatest defeat. They were standing at the door of failure, ready to walk away when they decided to push just once more, to try just one more time, to knock again, to persist despite every reason not to. And on the other side of that final effort, they found the breakthrough they had been chasing. Success often waits quietly behind the moment of greatest defeat. It is not far. It only appears distant because the mind is clouded by the pain of temporary loss. You must never allow defeat to plant the seeds of doubt in your heart. You must never accept that temporary defeat defines your worth or your potential. The greatest mistake people make is quitting just before they would have succeeded. The mind tricks you into believing that if you have failed, you are not good enough. But the truth is that failure is merely a step. It is a necessary passage, not a destination. It does not disqualify you. It qualifies you. The person who stands back up after defeat is a person life cannot deny. Persistence in the face of defeat becomes an unstoppable force. Life will yield to the one who refuses to quit. You must develop within yourself the habit of standing again and again, regardless of how many times you have fallen. You must come to see defeat not as a barrier, but as a signal to increase your effort, to sharpen your focus, to renew your purpose with greater intensity. Temporary defeat will visit you often if you are pursuing something worthwhile. You should expect it. You should welcome it. It is the cost of achievement. It is the price of victory. If you retreat when you are defeated, you abandon the very mission you were born to complete. You must hold the vision firmly even when your hands are empty. You must walk forward even when the ground beneath you trembles. You must believe when the world tells you to doubt. The man who refuses to accept defeat becomes powerful beyond measure. He becomes dangerous to every limitation, every obstacle, every setback that attempts to stand in his way, because he has learned that defeat cannot touch the man who refuses to stop. He understands that failure is only real when he decides to give up. As long as he moves, as long as he fights, as long as he believes, defeat remains temporary. The body may be broken, the circumstances may be against him, but as long as the spirit presses forward, there is no failure. There is only persistence, and persistence always wins. The power of definite purpose is the foundation upon which all lasting success is built. A man without purpose drifts through life like a ship without a rudder, tossed by the winds of chance, directed by the opinions of others, and enslaved by the distractions that consume the undisciplined. But the man who possesses a definite purpose becomes a force that cannot be easily moved. He is driven by a single burning desire that pulls him forward regardless of the circumstances that rise against him. His purpose gives him clarity, strength, and the unwavering commitment to continue, even when broken. Without purpose, persistence has no fuel. Without purpose, effort becomes scattered and meaningless. Purpose is what gathers your energy, your thoughts, and your actions into one powerful current. It provides the reason to endure suffering. It gives pain a meaning. When you are clear about what you are pursuing, you no longer see obstacles as reasons to quit. You see them as necessary parts of the journey. Definite purpose does not leave room for hesitation. It does not allow confusion to take root. It does not entertain the idea of failure because the purpose itself demands completion. The man who knows what he wants and why he wants it will outlast the man who merely wishes. Wishes are soft. They melt under pressure. They collapse when challenged. But definite purpose is hard as steel. It does not crumble when life applies its weight. It becomes sharper, stronger, more determined in the face of adversity. The man with purpose does not wait for the perfect moment. He creates the moment. He does not wait for approval. He moves forward whether applauded or doubted. His purpose is not dependent on external support. A definite purpose burns within the heart like a controlled fire. It is not a passing interest. It is not a casual preference. It is the central mission of one's life. It is the reason you rise in the morning. It is the force that calls you to act, even when your body is broken and your spirit is tired. The power of this purpose is such that it will pull you through the deepest valleys, through the darkest nights, through the longest battles. The man who is broken but still possessed by a burning purpose is more powerful than the man who is whole but directionless. When you know your purpose, quitting becomes impossible. The pain will beg you to stop. The failures will tempt you to turn back. The world may look upon you and see only loss, but the man with purpose cannot be convinced to surrender. His feet may stumble, his body may collapse, but his mind remains fixed on the mission. He will crawl, if necessary. He will drag himself forward, one painful inch at a time, because his purpose commands him to continue. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack purpose. They set out on paths they do not believe in. They pursue goals that do not ignite their spirit, and when difficulty arrives, as it always does, they abandon the journey because their hearts were never fully in it. But the man who is seized by purpose, true, consuming purpose, does not need to be pushed. He does not need to be motivated. The purpose itself fuels him. It wakes him when others sleep. It drives him when others rest. It keeps him moving when his body pleads for relief. Purpose simplifies life. When you are governed by a definite purpose, you no longer waste time on distractions. You no longer entertain meaningless pursuits. You no longer drift from one shallow interest to another. Every action, every decision, every step is aligned with that central mission. There is no confusion about what matters. There is no hesitation about what must be done. The man with purpose becomes focused like a beam of light concentrated through a lens, burning through resistance with unstoppable intensity. Definite purpose also attracts the forces necessary to achieve it. When you move with absolute conviction, unseen forces begin to arrange themselves in your favor. Opportunities appear, allies emerge, ideas reveal themselves. But these forces only align with those who are moving decisively. The man who hesitates, who questions, who drifts from one aim to the next, finds no such support. Life does not reward indecision. Life rewards those who know exactly what they want and are prepared to pay the price to achieve it. Purpose will carry you when nothing else can. There will be days when your energy is gone, when your strength is exhausted, when your heart feels hollow. On those days, it is not discipline or talent that will save you. It is purpose. Purpose will remind you why you began. It will remind you why you must continue. It will remind you that even when you are broken, the mission still calls you forward. A man without purpose is easily broken. The smallest setback will defeat him. The slightest discomfort will drive him to quit. But the man with a burning purpose becomes nearly impossible to stop. He may be delayed, but he will not be denied. He may stumble, but he will not surrender. He may bend, but he will not break beyond repair. His purpose rebuilds him. His purpose pulls him up from the ground and places his feet back on the path. When you choose a definite purpose, you set the direction for your life. You choose what you will fight for. You decide in advance that pain will not be enough to stop you. You decide in advance that the losses along the way will not dissuade you. You decide in advance that you will persist until you succeed. The man who has made such a decision walks with quiet power. He does not need to shout. He does not need to prove himself to others. His life speaks through his persistence. The man with purpose is not without fear. He is not without failure. He is not without suffering, but his purpose is stronger than all these things. It is larger than his pain. It is greater than his defeat. It carries him when his legs give out. It sustains him when all else seems lost. The power of definite purpose transforms a broken man into a relentless one. It turns a moment of weakness into a lifetime of strength. It does not guarantee an easy road, but it guarantees that the road will be walked to the very end. The man with purpose never truly falls because his purpose lifts him again and again. The mind holds the power to heal what the world has broken. The mind, when rightly conditioned, becomes the seat of invincible strength. A man may suffer great defeats in the external world. His body may be bruised. His resources may be stripped. His friends may desert him. But if his mind remains whole, he is never truly broken. The body follows the mind, and the life follows the thoughts that dominate it. Those who understand this law take deliberate control of their minds, for they know that the battle is won or lost first in thought. When a man is struck down by failure, his instinct may be to see the world as the source of his suffering, to believe that external circumstances have ruined him. But the wise man turns inward. He understands that no matter how fierce the storm, no matter how shattered his plans, his mind remains his own territory. No man can enter it without permission. No defeat can control it without consent. The mind is a fortress that can only be breached from within. If you guard it, if you master it, you possess a power that can outlast every setback, every wound, every fall. To condition the mind is to feed it with the thoughts that build strength. It is to reject the poison of self, pity, to refuse the language of defeat, to starve the seeds of doubt. The man who allows his mind to dwell on weakness, who entertains thoughts of failure, who repeatedly tells himself that he cannot go on, is the man who hastens his own collapse. But the man who speaks life into his own spirit, who reminds himself of his purpose, who chooses again and again to focus on his vision rather than his wounds, is the man who rises even when broken. The mind is not naturally inclined toward strength. It must be trained as the body must be trained. If neglected, it drifts toward fear, toward hopelessness, toward surrender. Every day you must discipline your mind. Every day you must plant the seeds of resilience, water them with persistent effort, and protect them from the weeds of doubt that seek to choke them. A man's dominant thoughts determine his outcome. He who thinks of victory finds a way to reach it. He who constantly imagines failure arrives exactly where he expected. There will be moments when the evidence of life seems to demand that you surrender. You will look around and see nothing but loss, nothing but barriers, nothing but reasons to quit. In those moments, it is the mind that must carry you. If your mind is weak, you will accept defeat as truth. But if your mind is strong, you will call those defeats liars. You will look upon the ruins and declare that you will rebuild. You will look upon your own weariness and declare that you will continue. The body follows the voice of the mind. It will find strength where there is none if the mind commands it to. A man who understands the power of his own mind does not wait for the world to heal him. He does not wait for the perfect conditions. He does not wait for others to believe in him. He believes first. He acts first. He commands himself to rise, and because he has disciplined his mind to obey, he does. His legs may tremble beneath him, but he moves forward. His hands may be empty, but he builds. His heart may be heavy, but he continues. The world cannot defeat such a man for long, because he does not surrender his most powerful weapon, his thoughts. The mind, when properly directed, can reframe pain into purpose. It can turn obstacles into fuel. It can transform loss into wisdom. The man who conditions his mind refuses to see himself as a victim. He refuses to see his broken state as permanent. He may acknowledge the wound, but he does not allow the wound to dictate the outcome. His mind is his command center, and he refuses to let his current suffering write the final chapter of his story. A conditioned mind is not free from fear, but it is free from the control of fear. It knows that fear will come, that doubt will whisper, that fatigue will beg for relief, but it refuses to bow. It faces these enemies directly and commands them to step aside. It replaces fear with focus, doubt with discipline, and fatigue with faith in the mission. It does not pretend that the path is easy. It simply decides that ease is not required for progress. You may lose many things along your journey. You may lose time, you may lose money, you may lose relationships, you may even lose battles. But if you refuse to lose control of your mind, you have lost nothing that cannot be replaced. All the treasures of life can be restored to the man who holds dominion over his own thoughts. His mind remains the fountain from which all new success flows. It is the storehouse of his vision, the generator of his energy, the birthplace of his next triumph. The untrained mind panics when broken. It spirals into confusion. It surrenders to the weight of the setback. It amplifies the pain until the pain becomes unbearable. But the trained mind remains steady. It allows the body to feel the pain, but it does not let the pain control the decision to move forward. The trained mind speaks clearly when everything else falls silent. It reminds the man why he began. It reminds him what is waiting at the other end of persistence. It reminds him that brokenness is a condition, not a conclusion. When you are broken, you must speak to yourself with precision and authority. You must not allow the voice of defeat to speak unchecked in your mind. You must answer it, and you must answer it with the truth that your story is not finished. The trained mind does not passively absorb the circumstances. It actively shapes them by the force of chosen thought. It shapes them by declaring that there is more ahead, that there is always a way forward, that the power to continue is still present even when everything else seems lost. The mind is the battlefield. If you win there, you win everywhere. The man who stands guard over his thoughts stands guard over his future. The world can throw him to the ground, but it cannot keep him there. His strength is not drawn from his comfort. It is drawn from his belief that he will not remain in the valley. The man who believes this cannot be permanently broken. His spirit will not allow it. His mind will not accept it. His vision will not permit it. It is the mind that decides whether you will stand again. It is the mind that decides whether you will take another step. It is the mind that decides whether you will believe the evidence of defeat or the promise of your purpose. And the man who has disciplined his mind to believe in himself, even when he is surrounded by the ruins of failure, is the man who will eventually rebuild, who will eventually rise, who will eventually prove that brokenness was never the end, but merely a chapter in the story of relentless persistence. Pain is a strict but valuable teacher. It is not the enemy that many believe it to be. It does not come to destroy you, but to reveal you. It shows you who you are when comfort is stripped away. It shows you what you truly believe when the easy path is gone. The man who refuses to quit even when he is broken learns lessons from pain that no success can teach. He discovers parts of himself that would have remained buried had life always gone according to plan. Pain has the power to burn away the unnecessary, to sharpen focus, to forge strength, and to reveal the depth of one's character. When a man is broken, when his plans have shattered, when the weight of life seems too much to bear, it is pain that speaks the loudest. It speaks through the body, through the heart, through the mind. Most run from it. Most silence it with distraction or surrender. But the man who stays, who endures, who listens carefully, learns from pain. He learns patience because pain rarely departs quickly. He learns humility because pain reminds him that he is not invincible. He learns gratitude because in pain he finds what truly matters. Pain forces him to confront his weaknesses, to see where his preparation was lacking, to see where his thinking was shallow. Pain teaches the difference between temporary discomfort and permanent defeat. Many quit not because they are defeated, but because they mistake the presence of pain for the proof of failure. But the man who has trained himself understands that pain is part of the process. It is the price for growth. It is the evidence of effort. It is the necessary fire that tempers the steel of his character. If you wish to build an unbreakable will, you must learn to respect pain as a necessary instructor. Pain also reveals the sincerity of desire. Many claim to want success, but the moment they encounter hardship, they withdraw. They never wanted it enough to endure the cost, but the man who persists through pain, the man who chooses to continue even when broken, proves that his desire is not hollow. It is not a passing wish, it is a deep, burning commitment. The lessons gained through pain are not learned by those who stop. They are only gained by those who walk through the fire willingly, who refuse to be turned away by the first taste of hardship. Pain teaches discipline. It teaches you to continue the work even when the reward seems distant. It teaches you to hold your vision steady when your circumstances scream that you should let go. The disciplined man does not wait for pain to leave before he acts. He acts while it is still present. He builds while it still burns. He endures while every step costs him. It is through this training that the man becomes not just stronger but wiser. He knows that pain is temporary, but quitting can last forever. There are lessons that comfort can never teach. Comfort makes men soft. It lulls them into complacency. It convinces them that effort is optional, that success is easy, that they deserve to have life hand them what they want without struggle. But pain strips away this illusion. Pain brings a man face to face with what is required. It forces him to decide whether he is willing to pay the price. It forces him to see that all things worth having come with sacrifice. The man who quits when broken never learns this. He only knows the surface of life. But the man who stays in the fire, who embraces the lessons of pain, gains the depth that few ever reach. Pain also teaches the value of resilience. It shows you that you can withstand more than you believed. It shows you that you can recover from blows that once seemed unbearable. It teaches you that your capacity to endure is far greater than you imagined. Every time you survive pain, you gain proof that you can face it again. Every time you persist through pain, you weaken its power over you. The man who fears pain is a slave to it. But the man who understands it, who has walked with it and overcome it, is no longer easily controlled by fear. Pain teaches you to separate what is essential from what is trivial. When you are broken, you no longer have the luxury of chasing everything. You are forced to choose what truly matters. You learn to let go of the opinions of others. You learn to release what you cannot control. You focus on the mission. You focus on the next step. Pain clarifies your vision. It forces you to simplify. It strips away distractions and leaves you with the raw truth of your life's purpose. The lessons of pain are not given freely. They must be earned. They are earned by those who refuse to quit, who continue despite the hardship, who find a way to move forward even when everything within them aches to stop. Pain rewards those who persist with a deep understanding of themselves and the world. It gives wisdom that cannot be bought, wisdom that is not written in books, but carved into the soul by fire and trial. Pain also teaches you to appreciate peace. A man who has known suffering cherishes moments of quiet, moments of joy, moments of success in ways that the untested man cannot. Pain deepens your appreciation of the life you are building. It makes the reward more meaningful because you know the cost. It teaches gratitude, not just for the outcome, but for the process, for the strength gained along the way, for the growth earned in the darkest seasons. The man who learns from pain becomes dangerous to defeat. He no longer sees pain as a signal to stop. He sees it as a sign that he is alive, that he is moving, that he is growing. He respects it, but he does not surrender to it. He accepts it, but he does not bow to it. He carries it, but he does not allow it to dictate his path. Pain may slow him, but it will not break him. Pain may wound him, but it will not end him. The man who learns from pain stands taller because he has walked through what others have fled. Pain is a language of life. It speaks in sharp tones, but its lessons endure. It teaches you about your limits and about the power you possess to move beyond them. It teaches you about the depth of your purpose and the strength of your commitment. It is not to be avoided, but to be understood. Those who master this language move forward with quiet confidence. They know that while pain may be part of the journey, it is not the master of their destiny. They are not controlled by what hurts. They are driven by what matters, and through this understanding they become unstoppable.